This, I'm sure you have been wondering about the title that I have used, The Ungrateful King. It is the story of a person who was given everything, and then he turned around and hurt the very person who had helped him. The person I'm talking about is the king Joash, or Joash as it's written in English. Joash was, as you know, was going to be wiped out and destroyed with the royal seed because of the evil woman, Athaliah. Athaliah, when her son died, she went out and killed all the royal seed. She killed everybody. And then we see the priest, Yehoiada, he sends his wife to be able to enter the castle and hide the baby, Joash, and hide him for 7 years, cherish him, and make sure that nothing will happen, no evil will touch him. And then later, he took him and made him reign and helped him with everything. And then, because he had a good teacher, we see Joash acting in a very intelligent and smart way. He establishes his reign, his monarchy, well. And then, sorry to say that there was no happy ending to the story. Actually, it was ending. When his teacher dies, he forgets everything. So this is a lesson to the teachers and lesson to the students. The teacher should always make sure that his student is able to self-sustain himself when he's away. And also the students, a lesson to them that they should not be in good behavior as long as the teacher's there. Once the teacher goes away, they turn against them. The worst thing that could have happened to Yehoiada, the priest, still his son, Zechariah. It was a very, very sad story. And it always, every time I read 2 Kings, so 2 Chronicles 24, it always hit me. How can a person be so ungrateful to the very person who helped him? How could somebody be this way? But this is a heart that is sick. See, by the grace of God, should always remember that it is the grace that sustains us. So let's start by speaking about Athaliah. Athaliah, as it is written, I looked it up, she was the daughter of not very good people. The king Ahab, and in one of the references, they said that she is most probably the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. And when her son died, she put herself to sit on the throne instead of her son, and she went out and killed the royal seed. How many times the Satan tried to wipe off the royal seed. He did it in the time of Moses. He did it even in the time of the Lord Jesus Christ. Herod tried to wipe out that seed, but the Lord, God, has his hand more powerful. His will cannot be altered. Nobody can frustrate God's will. It will be done at the end. So we see the same way God sent the daughter of Pharaoh to save Moses. She was the daughter of a king. God prepares another daughter of the king, which is Jehosheba. She was the wife of Jehoiada, who is the hero of the story. He is the main character here. He is the character that he had a plan, and he very, very attentively carried it out. So he sent his wife to and hides him for a few years, and then he made sure by a great plan to keep that king safe. Let's look 2 Kings 11:2, second verse of 11 King. But Jehosheba, in our language, the J is not, I think it's in Hebrew, it would be the same. It's not Jeho, it's not pronounced the J, Yehosheba, the daughter of King Joram or Jehoram, the sister of Isaiah, took Joash, the son of Isaiah, and stole him from among the king's sons that were slain, and hid him and his nurse in the bedchamber. And they hid him from Athaliah so that he was not slain. And then the priest, in verse 4, and in the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fetched the captains of the hundreds of the bodyguard and the couriers, and brought to him into of Jehovah, and made a covenant with them. I compared the translation, and I felt that the J&D translation is most accurate. So I'm reading J&D. And an oath of them in the house of Jehovah, and showed them the king's son. And he commanded them, saying, this is the thing which ye shall do. A third part of you that come in on the Sabbath shall be keepers of the watch of the king's house. And a third part. He divided his power into 3 legions, if you will, to take turns to be able to save and keep the king alive. It was a very good plan because it worked. And the king was saved, and until he made him chapter 11, verse 10 to 12, he made him king. Let's look how he put him when it came the right time. Verse 11, and the couriers stood by the king round him, every man with his weapon in his hand, from the right side of the house to the left side of the house, toward the altar and the house. And he brought forth the king's son, and put the crown upon him, and gave him the testimony. And they made him king, and anointed him, and they clapped their hands and said, long live the king. He was put rightfully on the throne, and he was made king because he was saved by the priest's wife, and he was saved by the plan that the priest has made. But also, there was work to be done by the priest. He had to do two things. The first thing, he had to kill the queen, the false queen, the murderer, Athaliah. And also, he had to clean the land from the temple of Belial, and kill the priest, the main priest, as we will see. So in verse 15, and Jehoiada, the priest, commanded the captains of the hundreds that were set over the host and said to them, lead her forth without the ranks, and whosoever follows her, slay with the sword. For the priest said, let her not be put to death in the house of Jehovah. And they made war for her, and she went by the way by which the horses entered the king's house, and there was she put to death. He got rid of Athaliah, which was the main threat. And then he started what is commonly called a revival. Verse 17. And Jehoiada made a covenant between Jehovah and the king and the people. Lesson to the leaders, or those who take responsibility in the assembly. It's always a triangle. The people, the leaders, and God. It's not enough for the leaders to be pious or the people to be pious. They have to go hand in hand and also always renew their allegiance, if I may, if you will, with God. That's the way it should be. So Jehoiada started that revival by bringing the people and the king together in front of God for a covenant. Then all the people of the land went into the house of Baal and broke it down. His altars, his images, they broke in pieces completely and slew Matan, the priest of Baal. So was the second step. After getting rid of the false queen, the murderer, he had to clean the land from the priest of Baal and the altars. They smashed everything, brought it down, and the priest appointed officers over the house of Jehovah. Very, very commendable and very nice atmosphere. It's a good start. It's a very good start. Look now at how the young king will act. He will act like his master. For those who had studied management, I see it very clearly. The king started a management process. He first made a plan to be with God, organized it with the money, the silver, and then he appointed the priest to be leaders in carrying out that plan, and then he went and followed up. He made an audit to see if the plan is going in the right direction, and it wasn't. But first, let us see second verse of the following chapter 12. Very important verse. And Jehoash did what was right in the sight of Jehovah. I wish there was a full stop here. I'm sorry, there isn't. All the days wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. This is our key verse. This is the sad verse that Jehoash did of Jehovah only all the days wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. As long as that the teacher was there, he was doing what was right in the sight of Jehovah. This is the sad story. This is the point or the lesson to be made or to be learned from this story, in my opinion. He was fine as long as that his teacher was alive. Okay, so let's look at the plan. The plan was to do what was right in the sight of Jehovah. That was the plan. How? By bringing the silver and giving it to organizing the resources to carry out that plan. And who carry out that plan? The priest. He went to the priests and he told them that this is the way you do it. Let's do what is good in the sight of the Lord. Let's what is broken, let us fix it. Let us come back to where we were, and you will do it with the silver. But he waited 23 years for his audit. To follow up, he waited 23 years. That is a very long time. Verse 6. And it was so that in 23rd year of King Jehoash, the priests had not repaired the breaches of the house. So he let 23 years go by with the breaches in the house. Okay. Better another plan where he verse 7, then King Jehoash called for Jehoiada the priest and the priests and said to them, why have ye not repaired the breaches of the house? And now receive them no money of your acquaintances, but give it for the breaches of the house. And the priest consented to receive no money of the people, and that they should only repair the breaches of the house. But let's go to verse 13 here, and we start to see a little bit of deviation. Something like an amber light. There are always an amber light. Something that will give us caution. It's not red yet, but it is amber. However, there was, verse 13, there was not made for the house of Jehovah basins of silver, knives, bowls, trumpets, nor any utensil of gold or utensil of silver of money that was brought into the house of Jehovah. It was not a complete work. It was, something was missing. Something was overlooked. Something was given away. A little bit of the truth was given away. This is a snare. This is an indication of something dangerous down the road. another amber light, another Koshan light. Verse 17. We see the king of Syria coming to attack Judah. Let's see what the king Joash would do. And then Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazael set his face to go up against Jerusalem. What did Joash do? Hezekiah in the old put himself in dust and started praying. What did Joash do? Verse 18, Joash, king of Judah, took all the hallowed things that Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Ahaziah, his fathers, king of Judah, had dedicated, and his own hallowed thing, and all the gold found in the treasures of the house of Jehovah and in the king's house, and sent it to Hazael, king of Syria, and he went away from Jerusalem. He looked for carnal, human way, human intelligence to save his skin. He didn't rely on the Lord. I speak to myself first. This is very important. If we ever resort to worldly ways to save our skin, if we ever do that, we are in danger. This showed cowardice from his part. It showed lack of faith. He didn't even put up a fight. He bought his way out. With what? By denying what his fathers gave him. He denied the truths that he had paid the price for. He readily gave it up. During the First Brethren movement, all the truths that were rediscovered, there was a very large price paid for it. And look now where those who followed them once, where are they? Either by division or for popularity, it was given up. The silver, what was hallowed in the eyes of Jehoshaphat, the good man, the good king, was given up. The truth was sold to buy peace. And it's not peace. It might be for a short time, but what does a man profiteth if he loses his soul to buy the world? Very sad story, but it is another amber light. I need to follow and read from 2 Chronicles 24, please, if we can. 2 Chronicles 24, verse 14. And when they had finished it, they brought the rest of the money before the king and Jehoiada, whereof were made vessels for the house of the Lord, even vessels to the minister, and to offer withal, and spoons and vessels in the house of the Lord continually all the days of Jehoiada, and was full of days when he died. And 130 years old was he when he died. And they buried him in the city of David among kings. Wow. beautiful, because he had done good in Israel, both toward God and toward his house. Now, starting the sad story. Now, after the death of Jehoiada, came the prince of Judah, the princes of Judah, and made obeisance to the king. Then the king hearkened unto them. He listened, the teacher was gone, so he listened to others. And they left the house of the Lord God of which stood above the people, and said unto them, Thus saith God, why transgress ye the commandments of the Lord, that ye cannot prosper? Because ye have forsaken the Lord, he hath also forsaken you. And they conspired against him, and stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king. Remember the king? Remember that how much the father of Zechariah had given him stones at the commandment of the king in the court of the house of the Lord. Thus Joash the king remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him, but slew his son. And when he died, he said, The Lord look upon it and require it. This is the sad story of how the king, after all that he was done to him of goodness, he turned around and he killed and he stoned the son of the son, the rain, who gave him the priest who his life, because if he did not send his wife, he would have been dead. Not only so, but he took him and he gave him his reign. He gave him his kingdom. Not only that, but also he helped him to get rid of the murderous queen and to cleanse from the priest Matan, and knocked down the temple of Baal. He helped him repair all the breaches of the house. He helped him with every way. It seemed he was a very good mentor. But as soon as he died, all vanished. I would like to speak about those two women, Athaliah and the wife of the priest, Jehosheba. The woman in the man's life will always have an effect. It will all either be positive or a negative, never neutral. In the first case, we see an evil queen trying to destruct the whole generation or the whole seed, the royal seed. And the other case, we see a daughter of the king saving the king and helping her husband take him and protecting him. I would like to point out that it couldn't be right that the king would follow. Remember the main verse that we have read, 2 Kings 12:2, when the king has followed God and his ways as long as his mentor was alive. Once he died, he forgot everything and he turned against him. He did not remember the kindness, but he turned even against the Lord and also against his son, the priest's son, and he killed him. It's a very sad story that started with triumph, but ended up with defeat.